Why do I feel like I reviewed this game before?
I remember when this game came out, it was heavily talked about on many gaming websites that I go to. Getting a lot of praise, but like a politician, gaming media talked a lot about it, but didn't actually say anything about it. It was released on Xbox One and PC, and it's a game that everybody loved, but nothing I read really explained as to why. Looking at screenshots, it seemed like it was one of those games where you control two characters at once, or it's a co-op game. Most of the screenshots I saw, and even the promo art, showed a giant brownish black thing with a little white thing all the time. Well, to my surprise, you play as the brownish black thing for all of 30 seconds in the beginning. The rest of the game you play as a little white thing. Ori and the Blind Forest was developed by Moon Studios, a group of people from all over the world. There is no central studio. Microsoft acquired the game after a year of development started. A lot of inspiration came from movies like The Lion King and The Iron Giant, while gameplay borrows from games like Metroid. The game is made to look like it's all 2D graphics when it's actually all 3D models. The art direction is amazingly fanciful. It's a beautifully looking game. Interestingly enough, they claim that the art assets are never reused. You see a rock or a mushroom, that's the only place you're going to see that specific rock or mushroom and nowhere else. The music really sets the mood and matches very well with the areas in which it plays in. However, there's one song that's probably going to get stuck in your head, and that's the music that plays during the escape sections. Not because it's catchy, but because you're probably going to hear it a lot.
Now, you're gonna die in this game. A lot. It's not punishingly hard, although at times it can feel like it's taking a lot of cheap shots at you, but you're just gonna need those twitch reflexes. Or, as in my case, just die a lot until you memorize when something triggers.
Ori controls pretty well. He's floaty, but in a good way. You shouldn't have much of a problem making jumps because of how light he is. At first, all you can do is jump, push, and pull objects and shoot a short projectile. As you explore the Metroidvania-like areas, you'll get new powers like double jumping, wall jumping, and climbing, which I think is a bit redundant. You'll be able to glide and ride on gust of winds, just to name a few. As you defeat enemies, or just through regular exploration, you're going to get experience points. And each time you max out, you'll be getting an ability point that you can put into a talent tree. The talent tree is broken up into three parts: offense, efficiency, and utility. Offense is self-explanatory, increases your attacks. Efficiency is how you collect and absorb energy from fallen enemies, and utility improves non-offensive abilities. The game wants you to use every single ability that you get, and will make damn sure that you master those abilities for use for every split-second decision that you're going to come across. The game can be brutal, like when you come across an enemy that zips across the screen only to explode and kill you instantly. Thankfully, there's only one enemy that does this, and he pops up quite rare. Or in the escape sections, where you'll need those twitch reflexes or at least good memorization. These sections can be really brutal and the toughest parts of the game. With these sections, you need to escape from an area, otherwise you die. You need near perfect timing, as there's no room for a mistake. You mess up, you might as well die and start over. What makes these sections really hard is that if you mess up, you have to start over from the beginning of the escape. There's no checkpoints. In fact, checkpoints are very far and few between. On the occasion, you'll find a spirit well where you can recharge your soul energy and hit points, and then it'll save as well. After a major event like getting a new power or entering or exiting an escape section, the game will autosave. Other than that, you'll need to create your own checkpoints. You use the soul link to create your own save points, but you can only use them once at first until you get an upgrade that allows you to reuse them. But you also need to have soul energy to create one. No soul energy, no save point. So if you use up your soul energy on abilities that use it, or you just don't find any, you're screwed until either you find blue crystals on the walls or an enemy drops one. Enemies respawn in a manner like the Mega Man games, reappearing once you leave that section of the area, but not as fast. You can clear out a section of enemies, die, and actually go through the cleared area, but there aren't really that many enemies to fight. More often than not, they're a method of getting around. At first, they're more of an obstacle like any other game, but once you get the bash ability, they and their projectiles become platforms for you to use to navigate your way through the areas. While this looks like a platform game, it's more on par with a puzzle game instead. While platform games have you jumping and using your abilities to get from spot to spot as a means of getting from point A to point B, Ori on the other hand is using his abilities to solve problems like getting keys for locked doors or using enemies to break open walls. Sometimes it involves having to leave and come back to an area after gaining a new ability to get access to something. The map is very big and it's easy to get lost. I would complain about the lack of a fast travel system to get from area to area faster, but that would be like criticizing ice cream for it being cold. It's supposed to be like that. It's just that being spoiled by games that have a fast travel system makes you miss it when you don't have it.
Now, this is a very emotional story, so those of you who've played it, let's see a show of hands. How many of you cried when you played this game? Okay, let's see here. Huh. What a bunch of pansies.
I'm not going to explain the story. It's a very well written one, and it's better to experience it for yourself. It starts off as a classic light versus darkness, but there's a twist to it that makes you feel for the antagonist, who really isn't an antagonist. But that's all I'm going to say about it. The story is explained through short sentences and the occasional cutscene. It's pretty minimal, but manages to tell a deep and meaningful story in a less is more type of way. At the start of the video, I said that I felt like I reviewed this game before. I got a very Dust and Elysian Tale feeling from it. The fantasy-like setting, the art and musical style, the way you get abilities and how they work along with the leveling system, although how you use your ability points are different, as is how you acquire experience points, and even the level themes seem similar. I unfortunately didn't get to finish this game due to running low on time, as I had other things to do, mostly doing a major upgrade to my computer. But I did enjoy what I played. I got about 7 hours in. The game is shorter than that, but I just died a lot, mostly during the escape sections. The game's sudden difficulty spikes may shun less experienced players, or those who lack twitch reflexes needed or the ability to memorize things when they trigger. It's understandable if you quit due to certain sections feeling like they're taking cheap shots at you though.
If you find yourself having a hard time, I really suggest that you stick with it. It's not unfair, although at times it may feel that way. It's just a game that's really good at challenging you.